Hello and welcome to Zerocarbonista, Series 7, Don't Panic. I'm Ian Collins, and this is your number one go-to environment-based podcast. If it's green, it's in. Tell you what, Del, there's a lot in on this episode. I don't know whether we start... I think we should start with newspapers over budget, don't you?
Well, yeah, we could do. I mean, you're right, because we're just coming off the back of COP, aren't we?
Yep.
So we've got COP updates, we've got budget. It just happened today, actually, while we're speaking.
Back of COP, back of budgets.
Yeah, and we just launched Babelfish on Monday in London. So, I mean...
What is this? What's happening here?
With Babelfish.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about it before, have we? So it's our new media thing. You remember in the last episode, listener said, when are you launching this new media thing? And I said, Monday.
Yeah.
Remember that? Without giving anything else away. It's called Babelfish. It's inspired by Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't know if you ever read the book.
I did.
So you'll know then, like the little fish in the ear.
Yeah.
And the idea is that we're going to speak people's language. You're going to talk to people in a way that they'll understand us. And everybody's got a kind of different approach to communications. You know, our Gigapoll has helped inform that. The thing we did some months ago where we polled 50,000 people and asked them about 80 questions. We got a real understanding of demographics and that kind of stuff and politics. And the idea is to take, I suppose, populism to a kind of granular level and talk to people in different ways in different demographics. And I just made a word up.
All right.
And you know, we intend to be honest with people. You know, it's without spin. We're going to be fact driven. We're going to bring facts into debates and stuff. We see ourselves as a pop-up media organization. We're going to pop up every now and then and intervene in certain areas or on certain topics. And our first publication was on Monday, and it's all about energy, how we reform our energy bills, and the knock-on effect to the macroeconomic situation. So 3 things can halve our energy bills. Then we got some economists to model the impact of that, driving down inflation, Bank of England rates, and all them other good things. It's really quite incredible when we lifted the lid on this, quite how energy bills are driving our economy in a bad way. So that's our first publication. Came up Monday. I met Steve Bray. You know him, Brexit man, top hat. Loud sound system. He turns up everywhere. He's always outside Parliament. He goes to every conference. I mean, I love him. I think he's doing a great job. We said to him, hey, Steve, you want to join us for the day and shout about something different? And he did. And we had a bit of a laugh. We also mailed 1 copy of Babelfish. It's an 8-page mini green top tabloid style thing. Oh, look, somebody thought this was a good idea.
I love it.
So sure. That's me, apparently. We mailed one to every MP and peer in the country to make sure they read it, because that's really, I think, almost the most important audience, is saying, hey, guys, look, 3 things. The energy market is a rip-off. 3 changes we can make. We can half bills and do all kinds of great things. So this is us. We're in the world now.
You're in the world now, and you're on page 3.
Yes. And I think one of the advantages of owning your own newspaper is you can put yourself on page 3. Except I didn't do that. Somebody else did it. And but it's funny. Ed's there on page 2. We have Boris Johnson. We have Rees-Mogg. And we've got all kinds of good stuff. We got Ed Davey. He wrote an op-ed for us.
Did he? Ed Davey from the Liberals.
Yeah. Oh, and we got this. Check this out.
Oh, I like that. Old leader, new danger. It's a pop at Tony Blair.
It is, in fact, and he deserves it, right? Because he keeps popping up and slagging off the net zero climate agenda. I mean, it's like
why is he doing that? I thought he was all on board.
Well, I thought he was, but it's like a repeat of that dodgy dossier, over Iraq. That's what I say. That's what we call it. It's like coming up with, bullshit.
Bullshit from Blair. Seriously?
Yeah.
You mentioned Steve Bray. Was Michael Gove there as well? Did you bump into Gove?
Yes, you've been looking at my social channels, I reckon. Right. We went everywhere trying to give him away. But one of the first people we gave it away to was Michael Gove. And he was like, he seemed to be super interested. Of course, he's now editor of The Spectator. And we're going to try and, get in there and talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Because Our approach, I think, is super important. We grab numbers, we put numbers together, we create a view of how things could be better, what impacts are being had, and how we could change that. And that's what the first edition does. It is a first edition, you're quite right. We call it Truth About Power, and we have a new one planned for the new year. It's going to be a deep dive into reforming the tax system. So
Great stuff. Great stuff. So stand by. This beast is going to grow, Dale. I feel it.
It already feels like a Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Because I was chained to a keyboard last week for well, it was a few hours actually. I'm exaggerating.
Well, not literally.
Trying to get the copy out. No, not literally. I was exaggerating about that as well.
But the copy came out when it should have done, and stand by for the next one.
It is, and it's sizzling copy, honestly, because it's
sizzling, super soaring edition.
It's written with fun, tongue in cheek. You know, we have a pop at Rees-Mogg. It's a picture of him asleep on the couch in the House of Commons. Because a lot of people don't understand this. Breaking the link has been the big thing that I've been campaigning for, and it has this enormous economic benefit. The Tories in 2022, at the height of the energy crisis, they saw the problem. We showed it to them, actually, to be fair. And they passed emergency legislation. Within a month, I think it was, they gave themselves the power to break the link. But then they didn't do it. And, we can see the economic cost of that in action. And we show that in Babelfish. By the way, it's hard to get hold of a paper copy if anybody really wants one.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you get this from Alf, the newsagent? What happens?
We're hoping to get it outside tube stations in future editions, like the old Metro and that kind of stuff. But right now you can get it at babelfish.news. There's a lovely PDF version.
Yeah.
And all of our reports and stuff go there. The Gigapol's there as well. So
sure.
Yeah, read all about it. I was on the microphone. I want to say megaphone, but it was actually a microphone.
Got it.
Steve Bray gave it to me. He said, "Go on, have a go." And I'm like, "Read all about it." Stand up for comments.
You actually did.
I had a right old laugh.
You did the read all about it thing.
I did.
It was actually done. Let's talk about, before we move to budgets, and we've got some great questions, Dale. Let's talk about FGR, Forest Green Rovers. Big news.
Is there? Planned.
Well, it says here FGR wins the Sustainable Award at the Telegraph's Football Industry Award.
Yeah, thank you. Keep all this in, Kev. It's funny. Yeah, we did. I forgot all about it. A lot happens in a week. But it was the Global Football Awards. It was run by the Telegraph, I think, who are about to be bought by the Mail. Shock horror. That's another story. And I couldn't go, but a team of my people went, and we won. I mean, we expected to win, quite honestly, because nobody's done more in football on the sustainability front than we have. And we started the whole thing off. So I thought we're going to win, right? But I couldn't make it. And we did win. And there it is. That's the story. It's nice. Yeah. I've got to wait. I'll show it to you. This is what we got. Little slab of glass with stuff embezzled on it. No, you know what I'm saying? Written on it. There you go.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's all right, isn't it?
It's all right not to be sniffed at, is it?
No, don't drop it, for goodness sake. Here's a question, Dale, from Julie, who says, Dale, love the first edition of Babelfish on energy. Perfect timing for the budget. Will there be a cow in the room edition?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think there has to be. There has to be a food edition because, it was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Somebody came out with a report that said ultra-processed foods are affecting every major organ in the body. Our food is poisoning us. Our government does allow that. Our diets are all wrong. They're driving so many problems. So, yeah, I think there has to be a food edition.
It may happen. Watch this space.
It will happen.
Other big news, of course, Dale, you mentioned it at the beginning, is the budget. It was an interesting budget because prior to the budget, we had so many leaks about it, about what might be in it, what might not be in it, and some of it was denied and some of it just wasn't confirmed, all that kind of stuff. And then, like an hour before the budget, there was the mother of all leaks.
Mm-hmm. And I think Rachel Reeves was on her feet in the Commons actually delivering the budget when the OBR put out their own updated report ahead of time and basically gazumped an announcement that she was going to make, or trumped it. I don't know what the right word might be. Very funny, very funny. Even the OBR are leaking these days. What the we live in a sieve.
What's going on? From what you've heard of the budget, and it's only a few hours ago as we record this, anything you've picked out or anything you're making of it in terms of direction of travel? There was a comment about losing green levies on energy bills.
Yeah, so the eco scheme got scrapped. It's like an energy efficiency scheme is kind of rife with its own kinds of problems. Anyway, that got scrapped, knocked about £1 billion off household energy bills, worth 150 quid per household. Starts in April. I think that's a welcome thing. There are tons of stealth taxes on our electricity bills, which have been driving the cost up.
Yeah.
And so this was a fairly big step. There's still some other costs in there. CFDs are in there, renewables obligations in there, feed-in tariffs are still in there, and they could come out as well. VAT didn't come off, and I was disappointed by that because, why are we having VAT on an essential that many people can't afford to pay for? We tax it like it's a luxury. At the same time, we haven't touched flying. You can fly off for a holiday somewhere, pay no VAT, pay no fuel duty. I'll come back to that in a sec. But at the same time that government were, I don't want to say boasting about knocking £1 billion off energy bills. It's a good move, right? It's a good move. We're reading that Hinkley comes online in a couple of years' time, and it's going to add £1 billion a year through the CFD process.
It's going to add.
Yeah. And Sizewell, meanwhile, started to cost us money last month, or this month, in fact, November, even though they're just starting to dig foundations or something. It's going to take 10 years to build. It's going to add £1 billion a year in the process of building it. So it's a bit swings and roundabouts, the way I see it. And we have to do some more joined up thinking, I think, because one of the other announcements was a 3p a mile tax on electric cars. And it's because they don't burn petrol or diesel, which is a bit perverse. But a lot of revenue, 24 billion a year, goes to the government from fuel duty on vehicles, and electric vehicles don't use it. And so, now they're being stumped with a you don't burn diesel tax, which is interesting. Meanwhile, over in the world of flying, which I mentioned just now, which has no VAT, there's no fuel duty either. We could raise £7 billion.
I mean, what is that? We've talked about this many times, Dale. How does that work?
I don't know. How have they become a tax-free haven?
Has that always been the case?
Yes, I believe it has. No VAT, no fuel duty. I mean, and of course you get actually duty-free when you are a traveler on an airplane. You can shop duty-free. Where's the duty-free shop in a bus stop? That's what I want to know. Or a train station. Why don't we have them? And why are we penalizing electric car drivers for not burning fossil fuels when the biggest consumer of fossil fuels per passenger per mile gets away scot-free?
Yeah. What's all that shit about?
It's shit, isn't it? It's just shit. It's so inconsistent.
There's no other way to describe it. Even the bloke that came up with the idea probably thinks it's shit.
It's so illogical. Why? Why does flying have to be tax-free? It's absurdly cheap. We've talked about that before. It costs you much more on a train. I did some number crunching over the weekend, and if we put fuel duty on flying, we could raise £7 billion, and the cost of a flight from London to Paris would go up by about £50, right? It'd still be cheaper than a train. So what's the biggie? And a cost of a ticket to America might go up £250. But I say that's still cheap for the privilege of saving 2 weeks sailing, right?
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure anybody's going to argue or could argue with those mathematics.
No, we charge fuel, duty, and VAT on people going to work and going about their daily lives, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't we taxing people that go on holiday or go on a business trip? Why?
It's a fair point.
That makes sense.
It's a fair point. Talking of interesting elements of life, COP30 has finished. What do we know?
Oh, one more budget thing. The two-child benefit cap did get scrapped. Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
It
got scrapped. That's right. Good or bad? Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's good, isn't it? It was a spiteful tax move from the Tories, and it was always self-defeating. To impose poverty on children, that's self-defeating economically, socially, every way you look at it. So, yes, good thing it's gone.
It's gone. It's finished, and you're glad about it.
Yeah. Anyway, COP.
COP30.
Yeah, well, look, my feelings about COP is every COP comes along, and every time it's the same old story.
Yeah.
There's a rearguard action, a fight back from the fossil fuel people, trying desperately to keep numbers and the word fossil fuels out of the final text in terms of this other thing that they avoid like the plague, which is talk of a transition or an end of fossil fuels one day. That happened again at COP30 in Brazil. I mean, it was happening at COP3 in Kyoto when I went there, so it hadn't changed. And the same thing gets said as well. Oh, COP's over and it hasn't been good enough. But I say, actually, every COP brings us a little step closer. Every COP has been disappointing, but every COP has brought us to where we are now, when actually, it's hiding in plain sight. We have to have a date and a plan for ending the use of fossil fuels. It's big progress.
And why do you think, what would be the reason that they didn't kind of go more specific on that, because that was, for many people, that was the takeaway. It's like, this is a bit weird. It's COP30. Surely there would be a bit more of a, I don't know, that phrase, a roadmap around it, given the importance.
It's the ferocious lobbying by the fossil fuel companies and countries that have done that. And, the UN and the COP process tries to bring the whole world with it. One half the world can't dictate to the other, really, in this context. And so that's what it's about. Vested interest, business as usual, making money out of cooking the climate, which is bonkers.
Absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
This isn't so much a question, but a comment on social media from Lee Anderson MP, him of the Reform Party, commenting on X on the launch of Babelfish. He says, "Oh my God, it's a think tank."
Yeah. Lee.
What does he mean by that?
I don't know. He's got the wrong end of the stick, obviously. I don't know how he came up with that. Obviously, we're not a think tank.
He must have. Did he receive the paper?
Is he an MP? He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he will have got it.
Maybe he's going to be in the next edition.
Well, maybe he should be.
Yeah.
But, have Reform given us anything to laugh about? Oh, I tell you what, Rachel Reeves, cracking joke in her budget speech, clamping down, she said, on Russian assets. And then she said, obviously, she doesn't include Nigel Farage in that.
Yeah, but a few woes in that department, I think.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? Yeah, and anyway, we aren't going to talk about Reform today, are we? We're going to give it a rest.
They're not on the list this week, due to return next week, I think, though. Well, in fact, they are a little bit on the list, but I'll come to that. But it's about Drax and Richard Tice, so we'll return to that point. Let's talk nuclear for a second. 700 million nuclear conversion plan would save one salmon every 12 years. What's going on?
I think this is Hinkley, and I think this is some environment protection that they've had to put in for fish. It's cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
And the projections are it will save, was it one salmon every year or something like that? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, one salmon every 12 years.
Oh, every 12 years. So it's a fish finger once a year.
Yeah, indeed. I've got a feeling that in the environmental department, they're not going to win one of those gongs.
It's a mad thing. And it's kind of like an example, like there's a bat tunnel for HS2 that I think cost 100 million or something like that to, keep bats away from the trains or something. I don't know. I'm sure it's very important, but it's an example held up by the media of the excessive environment regulations that face people who want to build anything in our country. I mean, it's a nuclear power station, so I think it's an extreme example, but I think they got it wrong. I think they got the balance wrong, actually. Well, clearly they got it wrong.
Here's a question.
But it can't be undone as far as I can see. People are calling for the end of it, but look, Hinkley's well underway, unless they haven't built this thing yet. Yeah. I mean, it's going to produce power anytime, any decade now.
Yeah,
but not this one.
That's not going into reverse, right?
But not this one. It won't be this decade. Yeah.
Question from Julian on X, who says, this looks great. He's talking about Babelfish here. But I'm always a bit perplexed why the greener energy companies don't seem to speak with one voice. Is there a reason for this? And what would Good Energy and Octopus think of these proposals? Fair question.
It is a fair question. Octopus have never spoken about breaking the link. We don't know why. But you remind me this week, Chris O'Shea from British Gas, boss of British Gas, he spoke out about a wealth tax. It turns out he's paid 4 million quid a year. So, he's like, he would be somebody that would pay a wealth tax. And he said he would welcome it, which I thought was great. And obviously I'm here saying, look, we should have a wealth tax. And it occurred to me, we've never heard Greg Jackson from Octopus support the idea. I wonder if he does.
Interesting.
I wonder if
that's a new kind of chapter for Greg.
It would be, wouldn't it? Come on, Greg, bit of social justice, bit of tax justice.
Greg, sort it out. Maybe we'll send Steve Bray round to his office. Just outside the main window.
Outside. Yeah, he doesn't need to get in.
No, Steve doesn't need to be inside to impart any message.
No.
It's the beauty of Bray, you see. Very easy.
They have a great mix as well. He had some great music mix. His friend there, I think he's a DJ of some kind, but, it's like, they make great music. I've Got the Power. You remember that one? I've got the power.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That one.
Very classic. Love
Good
it.
impersonation right now.
Did it for me. Ultra-processed food linked to harm in every major human organ. Now, I know I say it every time, food's a big area of this podcast. We've talked about it when no one else was talking about it. We're talking about it even more. Even this podcast is called The Cow in the Room. So this kind of rather feeds into something that you've kind of tacitly and on occasions overtly, Dale, been warning about and talking about.
Yeah, I mentioned it just a minute ago, didn't I, in response to a question, will there be a Cow in the Room edition of Babelfish? I think there has to be. I am writing a book called The Cow in the Room. And by the way, this is not the Cow in the Room season. We're in the Don't Panic season.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I went back in time. The last season of this podcast was called The Cow in the Room.
Yeah, that's all good.
It still stands, right?
That's all good. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I just wanted to say it, save anybody writing in and saying it. Anyway, point. Yes. I mean, it's a hideous story, though, to think that all of our major organs are affected diseased by ultra-processed foods. And when you dive deeper into the definition of ultra-processed foods, is really interesting. The big food lobby, and I think it's the meat and dairy lobby, they're trying to drag plant-based foods into this definition, even when the real, definition of ultra-processed foods has got to focus on high levels of salt, fat, and sugar, and the chemistry set of compounds that they put in as flavor enhancers and preservatives and all that kind of stuff. You know, you read it and you think, shit, am I taking A-level chemistry or something? I thought I was reading the ingredients of my food, my dinner tonight. They're trying to bring
take you longer to read the ingredients than to eat the dinner.
Probably. So they're trying to bring vegan food into that, plant-based food into that, on the basis that it gets churned up, like mixed into a different shape of something and that. And look, some of that vegan food is bad. It's high in salt, fat, and sugar and that kind of stuff. And it has the chemistry set list of ingredients. So I'm with them on that. But I think I think it's the Nova definition or something. It threatens to bring our Devil's Kitchen burgers into that definition. And we have to fight that in the same way that the EU are ruling on the use of words like sausage and burger and saying that you can't have that. And Merz, the German chancellor, said a sausage is a sausage, right? It ain't a sausage if it's not got meat in it. And it was like, that looks like it might affect us because of our closer relationship with the EU. Yeah. We may find ourselves victim of the same legislation that says we can no longer call a lentil burger a burger.
Yeah, but what's going to happen? No, you're not going to go to jail, are you, for misnaming burgers?
But it's already been happening, like oat milk can't be called oat milk, it's called oat drink, and there are brands out there like that are, this is not, there's a brand, this is not, and then it's either chicken or whatever the fuck it is. But they make a point of it. Like, we're not trying to fool you here, right? This is not dead animals. This is not dairy, this is not milk stolen from the mouths of baby cows.
Indeed, I reckon I could make a good barrister on this one in a court case. I think I could get through the burger legislation, no problem. Yeah, it's a freaking burger, right? I mean, nobody ever said it has to have meat in it.
No, and there's
sausage is also a shape as well as a.
It is a shape. And there's no consumer confusion, right? This is all driven by the industry trying to protect these terms in order to make it harder to sell vegan food.
Of course it is.
People aren't confused at all. They see a vegan burger, they know what the that exactly means, right?
Exactly. Finally, this one, Dale.
Well, plant-based. Sorry about the swearing this week. I'm like,
that's all
maybe
right.
It's normal.
We've got the profanitator on, so it'll probably bleep it all out when this thing's done.
I didn't think of that.
Nice headline is Pigs Fly, and Dale Vince and Richard Tice agree on something. This is Richard Tice essentially saying they will end the great green fraud that is Drax, which burns one tree every second. Now, this is one of those kind of classic examples, in the same way that Nigel Farage and Jeremy Corbyn actually completely agreed on, we shouldn't be in the EU pretty much, but for completely different reasons. So you and Tice agree, but maybe not for the same reason.
Oh, I don't know. I think we might. I mean, we've talked about Drax on this podcast many times. Basically, it burns 250-year-old Canadian forests. They chop them up, pelletize them, ship them over here, and they land with a magical zero carbon footprint because the Canadians keep it all for themselves. So Drax gets to burn this stuff and claim that it's green energy, which is bonkers. And we've been paying them nearly £1 billion a year in subsidies to do that. Meanwhile, they've been making, guess what, nearly £1 billion a year, which is crazy. So the government cottoned on a few months ago and set a new subsidy regime for Drax, which would be half as much. Now, this is where I disagree with Tice because he got it wrong. He exaggerated. He said the current subsidies of nearly £1 billion a year are being increased. They are not. They're being cut in half as the government tries to wrestle this monster that the Tories created, by the way, in around about 2010, wrestle it to the ground and get rid of it. We need it off our grid. We need, for all kinds of good reasons, not least for the trees in Canada. Yeah. It takes us back to COP30, doesn't it? Like Keir Starmer went there and said, we haven't got any money to protect your trees, Lula, your tree program. And Ed meanwhile back here had just given billions to Drax over the last few years, almost $1 billion a year, and blah, blah, blah. So we can pay to burn Canadian trees. We can't pay to save Brazilian trees. That's what I'm getting at. I think we said it before, but
I see a marriage between you and Ticey on this one.
Well, first we've got to sort our legal issues out because I'm still suing him.
There is that, yes. And I'm sure, and I hope that ends amicably, Dale, because you're both decent people.
Yeah, I do too. Because
you both think Drax are twats.
Drax is wrong, isn't it? Drax is wrong. And actually, it fuels the right-wing narrative of green energy and net zero burning money, costing us more than it should, because that energy from Drax is more expensive than fossil fuels, and I'm not sure it's any cleaner than gas at all. I think we should absolutely end it, take it off the grid, and if we have to use gas, it's only 5% contribution, by the way, at the moment, Drax. If we have to use a bit more gas in the meantime, I say it's a price worth paying.
And Dale, that is it. We're done for another week.
It was so soon.
So too soon, wasn't it? Really?
It was too soon. Yeah.
Too soon. I was just getting right into the vibe.
I was just getting fired up.
But we will speak.
I used a term this week on social media, a ClusterMusk.
ClusterMusk.
And it was describing 2 or 3 people that had come together. I forget what they'd done.
That's a beautiful extension of our kind of lexicon of muskness.
Yeah, no, a ClusterMusk. It's also quite clean. Doesn't need bleeping.
No, ClusterMusk is good. I mean, it gets to the point, and it's a derivative of the reuse of the word musk.
Oh, yeah, and that, yeah.
You can, of course, follow Dale on socials. That's x.com/DaleVince, on Facebook, and, of course, on TikTok, too.
And every now and then, in Babelfish.